Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Strong emotions. I'm super excited to share with you these strategies to help you support your own students and your own children in supporting their strong emotions. So thank you again for joining me. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Catherine Darker, and I am a coordinator at the Orange County Department of Education on our early learning team. So my role at OCDE is to help manage the work that our early learning team does to help raise quality in early learning programs here in Orange County. And then another part of my role is to train educators and administrators like you on social emotional learning and our early childhood pyramid model. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And then one of the social emotional trainings that I have helped develop is this one that I'm presenting to you today. So this is Calm Down Kit. So super excited to share this with you. This is one of our most requested trainings for conferences and within the community for our pre-K, our TK, and our K teachers. So I'd love to get a feel for who's in the room today. I know that there is a little bit of in the workshop, in this session with me today. But I know there's a little bit of a delay on the chat. So if you could, and I'll give you a little bit of time for that, let me know what is your role. And then if you work with students or work with children, what age group do you work with, and what brought you here to this session today? So I'd love to learn about you. Also, just a little bit more about myself. I teach child development courses at Cal State Fullerton and Fullerton College. You can see on the screen, I'm a mom of 2 teenagers. I have a freshman in college and then another one, a sophomore in high school, and plus our little dog. So super busy with those. Wait for that delay. Hopefully there are some people here in this session today. Kind of funny talking to a blank screen. So let me know who is here and what age groups do you work with. While you are doing that, and hopefully come on the chat, I'm just going to talk about our 2 outcomes that we have. I only have an hour with you this afternoon, so not very long. But I do have 2 outcomes for you that I'm hoping that you'll walk away with after this workshop. Yay, Yvonne. Thank you. Education Manager, Early Head Start and Head Start. Awesome. Thank you, Yvonne. Yes, our 2 outcomes are to identify the importance of teaching children how to self-regulate. So we're going to start there before we just jump right into those Calm Down Kit resources. But we're going to explore Calm Down Kit resources as a support for children's self-regulation. So those are our 2 outcomes. And maybe it's just Yvonne in the session with me this afternoon. If so, that'll be great. Yvonne, you and I can have our conversation and communicate. But again, if you are just joining, please type in the chat what your role is and then what age group you work with. Yay, here they come. Carolina, specialist, a coach, great. Dee, director for Head Start, a lot of Head Start here. And then Grace, special ed teacher, preschool, yay, co-teaching model, great. And then Angelica, middle school. Okay, so got a pretty good range here and a lot of special ed. So yay, thank you guys. Continue to type them and put your name and your role in the chat as we move on. We're just going to do a little bit of an emotional check-in to start. So let's just take a minute. We'll just check in with how we're feeling. Choose the letter that corresponds. Yay, Orchid, thank you. Inclusion coach. Choose a letter that corresponds with how you're feeling this afternoon, and then put them in the chat. Again, I know that'll take a while, but just good for us to check in. Remember, any emotion is fine. Just notice where you're at. What is a strategy you're going to use to make the most of the next hour, right? So I've got my water here with me, my ice cold water. Any emotion is fine. So if you're feeling like B, that's okay. What are you going to do? Thank you, Andrea. All right, pre-K, awesome, and K, great. So how are you feeling this afternoon? If you're feeling B already, that afternoon slump, it's always the hardest to present after lunch. That's okay, but what are you going to do? Are you going to stand up? Are you going to stretch every once in a while? Do you have your coffee with you? This is just a really good grounding activity for us so that we can, yay, Grace. Okay, you are B. Okay, how are you going to stay awake, Grace? But this helps us. So it let us grounds us in what we're going to talk about, and how do we help children identify their emotions and manage those emotions so that they can make the most of their learning time with you, right? So, okay, I got to keep it on for just a few more seconds to see what your emotions are. Maybe you're E, feeling kind of silly. F, you're curious. Even if you're D, that's okay. Anybody else? All right. As you're thinking about that and hopefully typing in the chat, I know there's that delay. I'm going to just keep moving on because again, I only have you for an hour. So that delay, I'll try not to ask too many questions then. But if you do have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I can't chat back with you, but I can always respond live to you if you do have questions during the session. So, okay, just Grace then on those emotions so far. Maybe they'll populate. I did want to let you know before we begin that the research that supports this training and where we got the inspiration for this training, and then a lot of the resources that I will be sharing with you today come from the early childhood pyramid model. So if you are, and I'm assuming a lot of you are familiar with PBIS, the pyramid model is also a multi-tiered system of support. It helps address those various levels of need to improve social, emotional, and behavioral outcomes for all children. So, as a reminder, and I'm so happy to see Angelica is here, middle school, all ages, good for all ages. But as a reminder, early childhood is actually birth through age 8. So, while it is called the early childhood pyramid model, today's content really spans beyond early childhood and is useful and meaningful for all ages. So, I'm happy to see we have a good mix here. But the National Center that funds the pyramid model is funded by the Office of Special Education Programs. And then it is called the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations, or we love acronyms in education, NCPMI. So this center is there to help assist states and local programs as they are implementing the pyramid model. So you can see on the screen their vision is that a world where all young children will have a positive future through the promotion of their social, emotional competence in equitable and inclusive environment. So that really relates to this whole conference and hopefully all of your work as well. So if you're interested in learning more about NCPMI, the link on the screen, challengingbehavior.org, will take you there. Okay. I also, in lieu of having a lot of resources and attachments, everything that I will be referencing will be on this Padlet. So if you're not familiar with Padlet, it is just a more visually appealing way to share resources. So on the screen is the link to the Padlet. If you type that in, that bit.ly, there is also a QR code if you would like to, if you are on your phone and you want to open it on your phone. Okay, I'm not able to drop links in the chat for you. Normally, I would do that and give you multiple ways to access the information, but everything that I'll talk about is on this Padlet. So just know that you can go there. And I know that I have shared some of the resources for today with the conference committee. So hopefully you have access to those resources as well. All right, let's just dive in. I like to start my workshops with the why, just why are we here before we just jump right into those calm down kits. Why are we talking about helping children manage their emotions, right? Why did you come here to this particular session? And so, what research tells us is that whether it's learning in the classroom, at home, or even still remotely, research tells us that there are key social emotional skills that children need to be successful. And so, this research here on the screen comes from the Child and Family Learning Network. And it says that children need to have confidence, the capacity to develop good relationships with peers and adults, concentration and persistence on challenging tasks, and then the ability to listen to instructions and be attentive, to solve social problems, and to effectively communicate emotions, right? So I honor that as educators and professionals in the field, that these social emotional skills are important. right? But as we're navigating this year, after a couple of years of uncertainty, instability, this is really just a perfect time to be reminded of what social emotional skills children need, and then how are we fostering these in our schools and in our programs in our classrooms. So while all of these strategies are important and an integral part of what we're going to be talking about today, the last bullet is where we're going to spend most of our time this afternoon, and really how do we help students effectively communicate those emotions in healthy ways. Okay. So in order for them to do that, in order for students to effectively communicate their emotions, solve social problems, develop relationships with others, they need to be able to emotionally self-regulate. So there's two parts to that, just like the words emotional and self-regulation. There's two main skills. That first one is emotional literacy, and that ability to recognize their own feelings, how they're feeling, and then how their actions affect other people, and then understanding also other people's feelings and how their actions affect us and others. Okay, so that's that emotional literacy, just like the word literacy, really reading the situation, understanding it, being literate in emotions. Okay, and then you also have that second piece, which is self-regulation, and that is if you're able to self-regulate, you have that ability to express your thoughts and feelings and behaviors in socially appropriate ways, right? Because we can express our emotions in other ways, but this is what is socially appropriate. And then, for example, if you're learning, children are learning to calm down when they're angry, when they're excited, or even that ability to persist at difficult tasks, to be able to self-regulate those emotions that they're feeling. So those are the two parts of emotional self-regulation. And then children with a strong foundation in emotional literacy or emotional self-regulation have all of these things. So this research, it just confirms for us that social emotional learning is such an integral part in a child's success. And it comes from the California Preschool Learning Foundations, if you're interested in learning more about it. But this is my favorite slide, really, in probably all of the trainings that I do. It's my favorite research. I just find it to be so profound. And what it says is that children with that strong foundation in emotional self regulation or emotional literacy, that ability to identify their emotions and then manage them in a healthy way, they are more focused. They have greater academic achievement. They are healthier. They tolerate frustration better. They get into fewer fights. They engage in less destructive behavior, and they are less lonely and less impulsive. And I just love this slide so much. Every time I read it, I wonder how you wouldn't want to just go straight back to your classrooms or your programs, if you support programs, and just begin teaching about emotions, because you can have all of these things here on the screen just by helping your students and your children identify their emotions and then help them come up with strategies on how to manage them. Right. So this is the why behind a calm down kit and helping children really come up with those strategies. This is the why. And then this is a very concise definition of emotional literacy or emotional self-regulation. Comes from Mark Brackett from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. I'm sure you're familiar with him. But what he says is, if you can name it, you can tame it. Right? So essentially, when we help children find the words for their emotions, they can come up with strategies. We can help them come up with strategies to tame those strong emotions and then respond in a more acceptable way. Right? See if my video is not loading. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play my videos for you, but if it may, yay. Oh, well, okay, perfect. It loaded. So a large part of naming and taming our emotions really is having an awareness of what might be happening in the brain when those strong emotions are present. So this is a clip from the movie Inside Out. If you're not already familiar, I highly encourage you to watch it. But let's just watch as the emotion of anger tries to take over. And so I do want you to know I am sharing my sound on my computer, but the sound on this particular video is kind of low. So it's not a technical issue. If you need to raise the volume on your computer, you can do that. Just don't forget to turn it down when we come back. So let's watch this very quick clip of what might be happening in the brain when anger tries to take over.
We go. All right. Open.
Is this
This looks new.
Think it's safe?
What is it?
Okay, caution. There is a dangerous smell, people. Hold on, what is that?
This is disgust. She basically keeps Roddy from being poisoned, physically and socially.
That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's broccoli! Well, I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Riley, if you don't eat your dinner, you're not gonna get any dessert.
Wait, did he just say we couldn't have dessert?
That's anger. He cares very deeply about things being fair.
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
Right, here comes an airplane.
Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
So again, that might be what's happening in the brain when anger or very strong emotions try to override all of the other emotions. That's just a fun way to look at it. But we actually do have research and brain science that informs us and lets us know what is actually happening in the brain. And it is important for us to be aware of what's physiologically happening to children when they are experiencing those strong emotions, and then how to help them manage those strong emotions. So some of you may be familiar or may have heard of Dr. Daniel Siegel. He is a neuroscientist, and he has a model of the brain that I find to be very particularly helpful. But I'm going to model it for you. And I want you to kind of look at the screen, and you can see me also doing the hand model of the brain. But it's super important when we're thinking about emotions and then helping children get back online and manage those strong emotions. So I'm gonna do this. You can do this with me. I won't be able to see you, but you can do it with me. So you're gonna put your hand like this. You're gonna put your thumb down right here in the middle, and then you're gonna take your 4 fingers and you're gonna cover that part. And if you look at this side right here, the side of your hand, it looks a little bit like what's on the screen. So on the screen is actually half of the brain. And so if you look, the wrist here, your wrist rather, is like the red part on the screen, and that's the hindbrain, and that's the first part of our brain to develop. That's the part of the brain that tells us that we're safe. It's the part of the brain that controls things that we don't have to think about, like our breathing, our heart rate, and our temperature, those types of things, right? So as you lift your 4 fingers and you see your thumb here, that represents the blue portion that's on the screen. That's the midbrain, and that's the part of the brain that houses our emotions, our memories, our arousal. And this is the part of the brain that tells us that we're loved. Okay. And then lastly, if you look at your 4 fingers, right? If you put them down and cover your thumb, that represents that green part on the screen. That's the forebrain. And this is the last part of the brain to develop. It's the part of the brain that helps us develop logic and reasoning. And so this is the part of the brain that tells us that we're ready to learn, right? So imagine something happens to a child. Let's say they were building this most elaborate block tower, right? This emotional button gets pushed, okay? And somebody comes by and they knock it down, and then that child flips their lid, okay? So they may have been playing and coming in this calm state and they were fully connected, but something happens and they flip their lid. And so what's exposed right now? What do you see that's exposed right now, right? It's the emotions. It's that blue part. Okay, so all of their emotions are essentially just a ball of emotions right now. They're not connected to their thinking brain that has logic and reasoning anymore. Okay. And so we have to help them. That's part of our role as educators, is to help them get back in line, bring that forebrain, that logic and reasoning back down, and helping manage those strong emotions, right? The one thing I want you to know too is that if you see on the screen where it says, I am safe, I am loved, I am ready to learn, we need to feel safe and we need to feel loved. And then and only then are we ready to learn. Okay, and that includes learning calming strategies. Okay, so I want you to remember that. If you're taking notes, write that down. Feel safe and loved, and then and only then are we ready to learn. Right. So again, very important for us to know what's happening in the brain to children when they flip their lid, or even as adults when we flip our lids. So This is a resource that NCPMI has created. We also have to be calm ourselves, right? We're not going to touch too much on co-regulation today, but it really is important for us to know and to be calm ourselves so that we have the capacity to help children find their calm, right? So when children are engaging in challenging behavior or they are experiencing strong emotions, anger, stress, sadness, frustration, whatever it may be, it's important for us to stay calm as well. Because if we try to match them and we come back with anger and frustration, it could result in more challenging behavior, right? So remaining calm provides that safety and that support that we just talked about, feeling safe and loved before they start to learn those strategies on how to calm themselves, right? So they created this resource. It aligns very well with Calm Down kits that we'll get into in just a little bit. And it gives you as educators really concrete ways to help children practice these skills. It helps teachers, it helps parents also. Okay, so if you'll look, there's 3 steps that they suggest to you to help children stay calm. That first one is to stay calm yourself, and then it gives you strategies on how you can do that. Right. The second step is reflecting, and then they give you questions that you might ask yourself as you're trying to reflect on the situation and what's happening. And then the last one is reconnect, right? So when you reconnect with each other, you and the child, then you're both better equipped to help and learn those new skills. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I can't drop the link in the chat for you, but this resource is on the Padlet. So if you've opened the Padlet or you I'll share it with you again later at the end so that you have that link. Okay, so this is a great resource. It's just a good reminder to us that we need to really think about our own ability to stay calm. Right. And so you made this analogy before. There's a reason why when you're on a plane that they ask you as the adult to put on your mask first before placing the mask on a child or an elderly person. Right. Our natural inclination would be to help people who need it first. So children, again, elderly, but we have to put on our own mask. And if we don't have our masks on and we pass out, we will be of no help to the child. And so it is a great analogy when we're thinking about helping children calm down. And this infographic on the right side illustrates this very, very well. This comes from the Center for Cognitive Diversity. If you've heard of Dr. Bruce Perry, that is where he comes from. And so it's a great infographic. And then what it shows you, and hopefully you can see, you may not be able to read too well what it says, but I'll kind of walk you through that. It illustrates the dynamics of co-regulation and the differing products of dysregulated or regulated adults and children. So that last example, the one that I've circled there for you, is where I really want you to focus because it's very interesting. What it's showing you is that in this situation, if you are dysregulated, if you are a dysregulated adult and you are matched with a regulated child, a child that is online, connected to their thinking brain, they are good to go. The result will be a dysregulated child. Okay. And so the first couple examples show you also, again, the product of what happens. And so this just confirms for us that the impact that we have as adults on children's regulation skills. So if you're here to learn about Calm Down kits, it really is important for you to think about yourself and your own ability to regulate, right? You, even with a Calm Down kit, if you're not calm, that's going to result in a dysregulated child. So I once heard a keynote speaker by a gentleman by the name of Sean Ginwright, and he said, just because you are the adult in the room does not mean that you are well. Right. So I want you to think about that. Just because you are the adult in the room does not mean that you are well. And this is very true, right? But as parents, as managers, teachers, directors, coaches, all of that, everybody is really expecting you to be well simply because you're the adult. And so it really is important to take care of ourselves and own our own regulation, right? In order to be effective in helping children. So I don't have time in this session to fully cover self-care and wellness. And I know those are maybe buzzwords you've been hearing a lot, especially, after the pandemic or during the pandemic. but I'm hoping this illustrates for you how important it really is. So I do have another Padlet for you if you are interested in learning about those self-care strategies. I think on the screen it looks like it says calm down kids, but the link is correct. This is another one. So it's the bit.ly/self-care for ECE. So I encourage you also to write that down, that Padlet, and explore it later after this workshop, and really look into it, and hopefully think about our own ability to self-regulate. Okay, well, there's that self-care for ECE. Let me know again if you need any of those links and you weren't able to grab them. All right, but it is important to learn. So when we're thinking about helping children manage those strong emotions, when we have that expectation that children should manage their emotions, right? That's our expectation as educators. There's 3 skills that they need to do in order to learn how to do this. So they have to recognize their own feelings. Okay, so you have to do a little bit of work on helping them understand. That's a whole other training on emotional literacy and helping children understand exactly what they're feeling. They need to learn the appropriate ways to express those emotions, right? Because, for example, anger is a natural, or feeling mad, that is a natural emotion. That is something that we will all experience in our lives, okay? And so it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to harm yourself. It's not okay to harm your others. It's not okay to harm our property, right? So it's okay to be mad, but how can we help them manage that and then express that in an appropriate way? Okay. And then last, how to calm down and self-regulate. And that's what we're talking about today. So this is really true for both children and adults as we think about it. But as adults, we've had so many more years of practicing and of managing our emotions. And so when we think about our little ones, our youngest learners, they haven't had many years on this earth, right? So if we know that those are the 3 skills that children need in order to self-regulate, but what happens, because not all of your students, not all of your children are going to come into your program having those 3 skills. So how do we help them, right? So this is a quote on the screen here from Tom Herner, and he is just the former president of the National Association of State Directors of Special Education. But what he says is, if a child doesn't know how to read, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to swim, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to multiply, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to drive, we teach. And if a child doesn't know how to behave, do we punish or do we teach? When I often do this training, educators will automatically say teach. And then I commend them for that. And I say, that's great. I'm glad. And I hope that we do, but I don't know that we do that all the time. And I know just collectively as a whole, as society or families, parents, we don't always teach, and that we often will resort to punishment, right? When a child doesn't know how to behave. And so it is a little bit harder to finish that last sentence. And the reason why is, like, we would never even dream of punishing a child that didn't know how to read. We wouldn't send them in timeout, or we wouldn't call their parents because they didn't know how to read. That would be absurd as educators. And that is because we know that when your students walk in the door, that is a skill that you are going to have to teach them, right? If you're a kindergarten teacher, you would make the assumption that you're going to teach the majority of your students how to read, right? But when we think about 16-year-olds, we know that they don't know how to drive. Why do we know that? Because they haven't had the experience behind the wheel. So we want to teach them. It's very important for us to teach them. It's an important life skill, and we can't risk them getting hurt or getting in an accident. And social emotional skills are the same exact thing, right? We think about our students. If you are a kindergarten, pre-K, you have 4-year-olds. Your 4-year-olds have been on this earth for 48 months. That is just like not having experience getting behind the wheel of a car. They do not have that life experience that we have. We have that experience, so we can pull on certain strategies that we use to help calm us down, right? If you are a preschool teacher or early Head Start and you have 3-year-olds, they've been on this earth for 36 months, right? They do not have that same practice. And so we have to think of social emotional skills in that same way. Okay. Okay? We have to teach them that. Those skills and how to manage those emotions and how to not just behave. When I think of the word behave, I don't like to think of it as, challenging behavior, but rather how to be in any social situation. Just how do you be in this situation? I've never been in this situation before. How do I act? Right? And so calm down kits are a tool to help us teach children. You hear me saying that a lot right now, children, ways to calm down. Okay, and there really is a difference between teaching students and children versus telling them. Like you could easily just tell your kindergartners to calm down, right? But that is very different from giving them strategies and teaching them those strategies, right? So as educators, you all have rich teaching strategies that you teach academic concepts, right? So for example, if we're teaching rhyming, like what are some of those ways that you would teach rhyming? I don't have the delay on the chat, but what are some teaching strategies you use when you want to teach your students rhyming, the concept of rhyming? What kinds of teaching strategies do you use? I'll wait. Let's wait. And then the question again being, what kinds of teaching strategies do you use if you want to teach concepts, if you want to teach the concept of rhyming? Nobody? Okay, if they populate, that'll be great. Um, but if not, when we're trying to teach a concept for rhyming, for example, we will use things like, somebody needs a link for the Padlet. Yeah, I'll grab that. If we are teaching things like concepts like rhyming, for example, we're going to call on things as educators. We're going to use books. We're going to use songs. We're going to use materials. We're going to use toys. We're going to use all kinds of activities and different things that we are going to help teach that concept. And so social emotional learning and calm down kits, learning how to calm down, is the same exact thing. We're going to use a wide variety of modalities and materials, right? We're going to differentiate how we teach. We're going to scaffold. We're going to give children some additional support that need it. We're going to help them practice. Right? We're going to give them opportunities to practice rhyming, for example. Maybe we use their names. Okay. And so social emotional skills are the same way. We have to identify and then think about what are the strategies we're going to use and when is the best time to teach that. Okay. And so answering that question, when do we teach? Because we might be tempted to first introduce calming strategies at the moment when the child is upset, right? Because it's happening in the moment and you want to teach them the strategies and how to calm down in that moment. But that's really not the most optimal time. It's really best to teach them those strategies before they get in those situations and practice with them. And then the hope is that when they do get into that situation or when they do flip their lid, that they'll remember, right? That you've taught them this strategy. Okay. And so most of us can attest to that too. When we flipped our lid, that is not the best time to learn a new concept if we are not connected to our thinking brain. And then you can imagine if you were to think about a calm down glitter bottle, if you've seen just like a water bottle that with glitter and water in it. If I were to try to hand that to a child that was very upset or had just flipped their lid, what might happen? They might throw it at me. They might throw it across the room or somebody else. Okay, so, and then again, just remembering that we have to regulate our own physical state and to help children know, number one, remember that they're safe, that they feel safe physiologically, that they feel understood and connected to you, so they know that they're loved, and then they're ready to learn those strategies. And so if you look at the screen and you see if a child has flipped their lid, this is not the best time to teach a new calm down kit strategy, right? But if you can catch them when they're about to flip their lid, you know that this is a certain situation or child that might trigger them. That is a good time to try to teach them. You can catch them before or as they're calming down and they are getting connected to their thinking brain is also another great time to help teach them those strategies. Okay. So why do we want to use a calm down kit besides the obvious and besides everything I've already been sharing with you? Really, it is because we all experience stressors, right? That evoke a physiological response as adults and within our brains, within our bodies. And then hopefully we've learned what strategies work for us personally in managing those strong emotions. Some people may like to take deep breaths. Some people might like to go outside, take a walk. Some people practice mindfulness. I listen to music. That's my the strategy that helps me calm down. Okay. And so some of you will also have your own ways. So we have those strategies, but children don't quite yet. And then they also benefit from either visual or tactile ways to help them calm down. And so a calm down kit is, again, a way to help them do that and provide that for them, those strategies, okay, for their own toolbox. So let's jump in and then talk about those elements of a calm down kit. So those are the 4 categories of elements that are recommended for calm down kits. Okay, so just again, keeping in mind that concept of differentiation and acknowledging that different people need different methods to calm down. And so we're going to use these elements to help provide that variety of resources. So you heard me saying variety. This is another way to do that. And so that first one is we want to make sure that we include resources that support breathing. We're going to talk about each of these. Releasing tension, visually calming, and then emotional literacy. So we want to make sure that our calm down kits include all 4 of these elements. Okay. And so sometimes when I see some programs, calm down kits are really heavy in releasing tension, a lot of those stress balls and things like that, but maybe not much for breathing, right? And so we want to make sure that we're balancing and that you're including all 4 of those. And so that first one is breathing. Let's talk about this first element, okay, that supports learning how to take a deep breath. So your calm down kit should include strategies to help children learn how to take effective deep breaths. Okay. And then it's just that concept again of teaching versus simply telling. So like if you tell a child, take a deep breath, you might see this, which is not actually a deep breath. It's more of a shallow breath, right? They think they're taking those deep breaths, but those more of a shallow breath when they do that. And so the purpose and the benefit of taking that deep diaphragmatic breath is to bring oxygen and blood flow in our body and then help us connect to our thinking brain, right? So it just helps that bring that oxygen and helps us get connected back to our thinking brain. It really calms us. And so there's a few ways to teach children how to take deep breaths. And you can see on the screen that that middle one is smell the flower, blow out the candle. I believe that graphic is on the Padlet. If you're interested in printing it out, you would just print it out and you'd cut it. And then on one side, you'd have the candle and on one side, you'd have the flower. You can put like a popsicle stick or something or a stick in between. And so then you would help the children smell the flower and turn it around and blow out the candle. Okay. And then there's feathers on the screen as well. Children can blow feathers with a straw. That's one way to help them learn how to take that deep breath in and then blow out the feathers. Blowing bubbles helps them do that. Blowing pinwheels. And then also, I don't have it with me, but we often have helped teachers make smell the flower, blow out the pinwheel. So you can take a fake flower and you can tape that to the bottom of a pinwheel. And that is a breathing strategy right there. It helps children smell the flower and then blow out the pinwheel. Okay, so let's practice. Let's do one. This is my favorite book on breathing. It's called Breathe Like a Bear. If you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to look it up. It is really a great resource. It has mindful moments and it just helps children practice breathing in a fun way. So we're going to do this really quick. We're going to practice this really quick. I can't see you, but you'll see me looking a little silly. But if you just start with me, begin with me, here we go. So we're going to imagine you're holding a cup of hot chocolate in your hands, right? It's much too hot to take a sip. So you need to blow on it and cool it off. So bring your cup up close to you. Take a long breath in. And then through your nose and slowly blow the air out to cool your hot chocolate. Take another long breath in and slowly blow the air out. Now take a tiny sip of your hot chocolate and say, mmm. And so that is an example. Put your hot chocolate down, take a deep breath in. And that is a great example of helping children learn how to breathe when they're not in those stressful or emotional situations, right? And then when you get into that situation, you can help them take that deep breath. So I encourage you to look for that book. It really is awesome. It's just a fun way to help children learn to breathe. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is releasing tension. So your calm down kit should include appropriate ways for children to physically release that tension and physically release those emotions, right? So some children may like the breathing and that may work for them. And for some children, it may not, again, just like us as adults. And so some children may need to physically do something with that strong emotion and release that tension. So just like some of us, I don't know if you like to clean. I'm not that type of person, but you maybe when you get angry or frustrated, maybe you need to clean and that's just your way. And so that is an example of how that physical release helps you relieve some of that tension that's happening. Okay. And so children may need that too. So you can see on the screen that there's several items here, such as Play-Doh, there's Theraputty. And so those things, again, physically releasing stress balls. You can see there on the screen. We've had some teachers that put, and I have a video for you coming up, but some teachers that put hands up on the wall where children can push against the wall, right? And so we acknowledge that they just need to get rid of that tension and that emotion in them physically. And so we're going to give them a safe way to do that and push against the wall. Some teachers have put some laminated footprints on the for the children. Just go there and stomp on it, and you can put it there in your calm down area or just wherever in your classroom, and then children can go there and safely just stomp out what's happening. Okay. And then also you can see on the screen a Swiffer, a green Swiffer. And so this is a great thing that one of the teachers that I coached came up with. He got a little Swiffer and he called it an anger duster in his class. And so this is just an example that I saw him use. There was a student that was coming in and he was just frustrated and he was mad because he didn't get to have the cereal he wanted that morning. And the teacher said, oh yeah, he acknowledged him and talked him through it and said, yeah, that's really crummy. And maybe tomorrow you can have the cereal that you wanted to have this morning. And let's just take the anger duster and kind of let's get rid of some of that before we get into class and start our day. And so he's, Swiffering here and just, taking it off, Swiffering it off his body. And the little boy was like, okay, right here. And so just that idea that it's coming off of us, right? That's that physical. Okay. And then also in the bottom right-hand corner, you see those calm down cards, and those also give children that physical release of tension. So it gives them ideas on what to do. And so those calm down kits cards are also on the Padlet. So I encourage you to look that up as well. And then NCPMI has a poster that you might put up or a graphic that you might print and put up. And then this is another way. If you didn't want to use the cards, you could have your children, pick and choose what is the way that they want to physically release their tension. Okay. Let's watch this video. This is, I hope it loads. Oh, it's not loading. Let's see. Yes. Yay, it is loading. Okay, we're going to watch this. It's a great example of a teacher using this, pushing a wall as a way of de-escalation, and then it's called rapid reset. So great example. Let's watch this on how she helped her students physically release their
that we use with students, and it's one of their favorites. We might go up the hall in a line and we might stop, and I would say, we're getting a little rowdy. Okay, everybody, let's push against the wall. And everybody did it. Then it became the norm. I have a student, he was having a very difficult time. I could just see it building. So I taught him the pushing against the wall. That's the one he liked the very, very most. And then the most wonderful thing happened. Other students who saw him would just come up beside him and say, can I push with you? I'm here with you. And he would say, yes, I could use a friend. talk through it with them. What are you feeling in your body now as you have pushed? And at first, young children don't necessarily have the verbiage for that or the ability to express those sensations, but over time, they begin to build that vocabulary. And then they're able to express how they're feeling. I'm breathing easier. I can feel my shoulders relax.
Example, let me pause it, of that rapid reset, that helping de-escalation, and pushing against the wall, releasing that tension physically. Okay. All right, let's move on to our third element in Calm Down Kits is to provide items that help children that are visually calming, and then it also helps to redirect them. Okay, and so they are, again, visually calming. If you look, you got those glitter bottles, the little, what you call them, lava timers, little sand timers. And so they're visually calming, but they're also an excellent way to help redirect children, and then just redirect all of that energy and those strong emotions, and then it helps them reconnect to their thinking brain, right? And so modeling what this looks like is really important to model, right? So Miss Catherine was feeling really frustrated this morning, so I went and looked at the Calm Down bottle and I turned it upside down, and again showing them what it looks like and teaching them. Okay. You can make your own glitter bottles. One of my favorite places to find the little lava ones, in SoCal. If you're in SoCal, we have a store called Daiso. I don't know if there's in other areas that you are all in, but they're pretty inexpensive, and so then they're pretty small. And you can put those in your kit. But then also on the Padlet, we have some recipes for making calm down bottles. And then I think this link here is a link to this ocean in a bottle. So there's a lot of different recipes. When I went and did my research, there's all kinds of different ways that you can make your own glitter bottles. You just have to save those water bottles, and then you can make some glitter calm down bottles. Those are visually calming and distracting. Okay. All right, the fourth and then the final element in Calm Down Kits is to include materials that will support and promote emotional literacy, right? So again, this is helping them understand how they're feeling. And then if we can name it, we can tame it. So we definitely want to give them ways for them to learn those particular words for emotions, and then help them acquire that vocabulary to name those emotions, right? And so for example, there's an emotion chart on the screen. There's emotions wheels. There's link for the emotions wheels in the Padlet. Okay. We also have a list of books, children's books for you to help promote emotionally. And it's broken down by emotions. If you can see on the screen, it says general feelings, happy feelings, sad feelings, angry or mad feelings. And so all kinds of books here for you. And again, that link is also on the Padlet. And so it's a pretty comprehensive list. And this comes from the pyramid model, the national pyramid model. Okay. And this is just an example of the feelings wheel that you can find on the Padlet as well, and a feelings chart. And this is really a great way to help children look at and see the faces and make that connection with the emotions. And you can practice with them, making those faces, and what does it look like when you're mad, and what is something that has made you sad, and really talking to them about it. Okay. NCPMI also they published a scripted story on strategies for calming down. So this is a book, and it's a free resource that you can print out. I printed out a couple and just staple bind it, or you can bind it. But a scripted story is basically, that's what it is. It's a script, much like you would get if you're in a play, and it just tells children what to do, what to say in any given situation. And so this particular scripted story is about when Tucker, for example, example, the turtle flips his lid and then what he does, the steps that he takes to find a new strategy. So this is a great resource for you to also put in your Calm Down Kit. And they also have one for home. So if you're interested in sharing with families, this is a free resource in English and in Spanish that you can print out. Okay, so great resources from NCPMI to put in your Calm Down Kit. So let's talk really quickly about how to utilize that Calm Down Kit, right? I gave you the 4 elements of it, but then based on our experience, just feedback from teachers. So you'll see here on this on the screen, this is a preschool here in Southern California, in Orange County rather. And this teacher, she decided to call her Calm Down area, or where she put her Calm Down Kit, the mindfulness and equanimity corner, right? And what she did was she introduced one item at a time to the whole group. And then she allowed children to practice during small group times. And then she also modeled the use of the materials. And so that was very, very important. Those are some tips on when you're using the Calm Down Kit. But also your Calm Down Kits can be presented in a box, in a bag, a backpack, a little shoebox, whatever you have. You can put that Calm Down Kit in there, and then all of those items help with that self-regulation. But also important to think about putting the Calm Down Kit in a place that is conducive to calming down. So for example, this particular center here has got a lot of books. It looks like, and closer to those quiet areas. Okay. There's some reminders also when we're thinking about using the Calm Down Kit. Again, you want to make sure that you're introducing it, you're teaching it, and you're practicing it. But not more important, but very important to remember that this is not a place that you're going to send children as a punishment, right? The goal of a Calm Down Kit or a Calm Down area is for children to learn what to do, right? That children learn that everyone experiences stress and strong emotions, and everyone needs ways to calm down. And so we don't want to put a negative connotation on it. If we say, go to the calm down corner, they may not want to go there, and they may not want to learn about their emotions or strategies on how to calm down if they feel like they're being sent there as a punishment. Okay, so very important to remember, should be a choice for them, right? And not a negative consequence, and also not a reward. The Calm Down Kit is not a reward. And sometimes some teachers get concerned about, they're just going to want to play with the materials in the Calm Down Kit. And that may be true at first. They may be trying to experience it and learn about it. But the more that you practice, you introduce it, and you teach them how to use it, and you tell them that this is what it's for, and you're very clear about that expectation, children will more likely do what is expected of them when it's very, very clear that this is only when we're experiencing those strong emotions and we need to calm down, or we need a place to go and be to help calm our emotions. Okay. And these are 3 resources I believe I attached or linked for you. Hopefully you have access to, are also again on the Padlet. But this first one on the left here is the infographic that we made of all of the 4 elements that you want to have in your Calm Down Kit. And then we also have a resource that we got permission to share with you, what to put in a Calm Down box, and then Calm Down tools for older kids. So those of you who are on today that have older children, that is a great resource for them as well. And so it gives you ideas on what to put in your Calm Down kits. Okay. Yay, we are just right about at time. And so if there is anybody still on with me, I would love to learn, what are you most excited about implementing from Learn today? All right, so I will give it 30 seconds, but as you're thinking about it and you're typing in, if you put a 1 or put a 2, 3, 4, or 5. So if you're excited about reflecting on your own emotional literacy, teaching and utilizing breathing techniques in the classroom, providing strategies for students to release tension, utilizing materials to support emotional literacy, and or creating a calming space in the classroom, I would love for you to drop that in the chat so that I can see what is it that's really resonated with you today, and what do you want to implement. I would love to see. Give you guys a few seconds for that. I'll put a little timer so I know. And then I have one last video to share with you before we end our time. Oh, one. Oh, there's, oh, I'm not, oh my gosh, you guys. This is going to be so silly because I was not scrolling down to see your chat. I thought the chat would like populate. Okay, I need to go back and see some of these here. Okay. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys. Okay, yes, I can I will share, Alejandro, I'll share the link with the Padlet again before we end. Yay. Okay, Headspace, free accounts for educators. Thank you, Mariah. Now I'm going back. Okay, so 4, yay. Grace, okay, utilizing materials to support emotional literacy. Carolina, reflecting on your own. Oh, great. Orchid, providing strategies to help children release tension. Maria, creating a calming kit. Angelica, calming kit in space. Yvonne, number 1, reflecting on your own emotional literacy. And then Maria, practicing Tucker Turtle. Great. Yay. Thank you guys. I'm so sorry that I wasn't keeping up with the chat, but I don't know that I missed too much here. So, okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to share that this video is a great video to watch. I want to honor your time, and I want to share the Padlet link again for you. But if you have a moment, this is a great video to watch. It is called Just Breathe. And I believe you could probably find the link in on the Padlet as well. So please, I encourage you to take a look at that. It's amazing, amazing emotional literacy from the children in the video. So take a look for that. It's called Just Breathe. I always love to just end with a quote. I just want to honor you and thank you for your time and everything that you guys do. And so all of these things and in all of your roles that you do, you teach, you encourage, instruct, mentor, praise, influence, guide, and inspire. And so I'm hoping that the information that you've heard today will help you continue to do these things and inspire children to calm down and teach them how to self-regulate and learn about their emotions. And so as promised, I know Alejandro is asking, here is the link to the Padlet again, right? It is a bit.ly. So, and then it's Calm Down Kit Padlet, as well as the QR code for you to check it out if you want to use your phone to do that. But all of everything that I've shared with you today, including those videos that I showed and the one that I wasn't able to show you in time is on there. So if you are interested in learning more, I encourage you to look through that Padlet. So please do. And then again, I want to thank you so much. This is my email address. I'm at the Orange County Department of Education. If you have questions or you say, what is that link that you shared again? Oh, great. Somebody put it in. Thank you, Myra. Thank you, Myra. Perfect. So she's able to type in the chat. Yeah, you're welcome, Alejandro. So here is my email. Please email me if you have any questions, if there's something you want to dive deeper into, or there's a resource that you need. I am available. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon and joining me and wanting to help your students and your children learn about calming down. Yay, take care. Oh, good, Grace. You love the hot chocolate. Yes. So you have to check out that book then, because it is full of breathing exercises just like that, where it keeps it fun for students and children. So good. Yay. Take care, everyone. Thank you.